Welcome back to Mobility Insider. I'm your host, Morten Handersbo. Our channel remains unsponsored. All of the views and conclusions are based on me having had a 35-year career in automotive. Today we will be reviewing the 2025 Porsche Taycan 4S Sport Turismo. For 2025, Porsche made a lot of upgrades to the Taycan. You have a bigger battery, the motors are more efficient and also stronger, and you have a completely new air suspension and some other improvements. At first glance, there isn't really much new to see with the Taycan when you compare it to the outgoing model. But they have made a lot of improvements, particularly to improve the aerodynamics, and that has the positive effect that the efficiency is much better than before. Now, this specific vehicle has a special color, the oak green metallic, which is a special Porsche color. And it also has a truffle brown interior. The combination is really very nice and certainly very different from most of the gray or black Porsches we normally see. Other than that, it requires an eagle eye to see the upgrades for 2025. The front bumper has been slightly redesigned, and the lighting technology has been improved with HD matrix LED headlights now coming as standard, offering better visibility and more distinctive looks. The rear light strip now features an optional illuminated Porsche logo with welcome and leaving animations, and the new wheel options contribute to better efficiency despite being a 21-inch RS Spider design wheel with very wide tires. The most significant, or rather most noticeable change, is the new air suspension. It has a two-chamber system and it reacts much faster than in the prior model. What it also has is a new lift system when you enter the vehicle to make it easier to get in and out if you have a back injury, for instance. And you can see here how fast that reacts. You open the door and it will lift 7 centimeters, making it easier to get into the seat. So the other really big change is that the battery is now much larger than before. It has been increased from 93.4 kilowatt hours to 105 kilowatt hours gross capacity. That gives you a much larger range combined with the more efficient motors. That is noticeable. We will be doing the standard route test very soon, and they will see just how much better the new Taycan is. The Porsche Taycan, of course, is a very fast vehicle. We tested the 0 to 100 in 3.88 seconds. If you have controlled environment and you can optimize it, it can do about 3.55 seconds. That is what Porsche is promising. In any case, it's a very fast vehicle. Where the car has also been improved is the regenerative braking. It can now absorb up to 400 kilowatt while braking or driving down a mountain, which really helps the range as well. So with significant improvements in terms of better aerodynamics, more efficient motors, faster charging, a bigger battery, a new suspension system, this is a significant improvement over the outgoing Porsche Taycan. So what is there not to like? Two things in my opinion. First of all, it is a very expensive car. The list price for the base model, the 4S Sport Turismo, as you have it here, is 138,000. Add to that 54,000 Swiss francs worth of options and you have a total price tag of 192,000 Swiss francs. And if you go for the Turbo or the Turbo S or even the GT, you will very quickly get to about 300,000 Swiss francs for your Taycan. 192,000 Swiss francs is a lot of money for a Porsche Taycan, but that is not likely to put off the Porsche buyers. But what has been a weak point of the Taycan are the residual values. And they have been very poor for the Taycan historically seen over the last 4 or 5 years. And it is very likely that that situation will not change for the new Taycan. But to be sure that my line of thought is not completely off the tracks, I checked with Porsche Financial to see what they say about the car if they finance it. And they say after 4 years, 60,000 kilometers, the residual value will be 35% of what the price was new, and that confirms my line of thought. So how does this compare to a Porsche 911, for instance? Well, Porsche Financial, with the same parameters, would predict the residual value to be 39% after 4 years and 60,000 kilometers, so just a little bit better than the Taycan. But in any case, it just shows that new cars do depreciate quite a lot these days. The second point is the interior space that the Taycan offers. Particularly if you're a rear passenger, you will feel a bit cramped. If I compare the Taycan to some of the other models, the Tesla Model S or the Lucid Air, they have about the same exterior dimensions, about 5 meters in the length, and they offer much more space than the Taycan does. But apart from those two things, the cramped interior space and the typical for Porsche high price, there is a lot to like about the Porsche Taycan. It drives like a true Porsche, and it is one of the best handling sports GT cars around. A four-door car with this level of performance is very unique. The most significant upgrades are the air suspension and the larger battery and of course more range. The battery is now 105 kilowatt hours capacity, which is up from 93.4 kilowatt hours in the old 4S model. The battery is built with components from LG. It's built in the subsidiary of Porsche. It's a company called Cellforce, which is located in Germany. The larger battery and improved motors made the car more efficient. Porsche now promises up to 616 kilometers WLTP range for the new Porsche Taycan 4S. We're now on the standard test route, so we'll see after about an hour and 58 kilometers just how efficient the new model is. If I compare the range that Porsche promises compared to my old Porsche Taycan 4S, it is about 100 to 125 kilometers more than the old model has, which is a significant improvement. There's a new heat pump, which is more efficient. There's a new thermal management system that improves the energy needed to manage the battery temperature. And you also have a new motor in the rear that delivers up to 80 kilowatt more power compared to the old model. So the combination of more power and better efficiency obviously is a very good one. The Taycan was always one of the fastest charging vehicles in the marketplace, but Porsche improved it even more compared to the old model, which had 270 kilowatt max. Now the new one has 320 kilowatt max charging speed, and that gives you a theoretical time for 10 to 80% charging of just 18 minutes, despite the bigger battery. As part of the test of the Taycan, I did a fast charging test the other night, and it was very odd because it took a total of 33 minutes for the Taycan to charge from 10 to 80%, and that was despite me having prepared the car for the charging test, so the car knew a test was coming. And I started the test at 10% and finished at 80%, and it still took 33 minutes, which is very unusual and no way close to what Porsche has promised. Porsche also improved the onboard charging converting system, which means that if you get to a Tesla charger that is based on 400 volt technology, the Taycan would actually not charge as fast as a Tesla can do because of that technology difference. So Porsche improved it, so at a Tesla charger you can now charge with up to 150 kilowatt, which is very good for long distance traveling because you have a lot of Tesla chargers around. As part of the improvement, Porsche added more power to the motors, and that means that in boost mode you have for the base Taycan 60 kilowatt more power in case you want to overtake another car, and for the Turbo S as much as 140 kilowatt more power. And you have this push to pass button here on the steering wheel. You press it and you will get 10 seconds of full power. It will count down here in the instrument panel from 10 to 0, and that is enough power to give you that extra speed if you want to overtake another car. The regenerative system has also been vastly improved. Now you can regenerate up to 400 kilowatt when you drive down a mountain, for instance, or you use the brakes. So in reality, it will give you a little bit more range, I would say, maybe 20 to 30 kilometers on a full charge. But if you drive down a mountain, say from 2,000 meters down to 300 or 400 meters, that will give you maybe 50 or 60 kilometers more range, and then it's really useful. Porsche's system for regeneration is actually very comfortable. You don't have this almost braking feeling when you use it. It is not intrusive at all. It is probably one of the best systems in terms of the driver experience, but of course other systems will generate more power and give more range than the one Porsche has developed. Driving a Porsche is always something special, and Porsche designs their cars around the driver. They have made some improvements to the new Taycan as well. So for instance, you get a better car entertainment system. And now you can also order the car with a screen in front of the passenger. And on that screen you can watch YouTube movies, as well as you can watch it here if you don't drive too. So they made a lot of improvements to the car. The system is faster than it used to be, and there's nothing lacking here. This is really always a great driver's experience. For 2025, Porsche added a few more sustainable options for the interior of the Taycan. You can have a new Pepita houndstooth, really nice type of interior that resembles what Porsche had in the 60s and 70s. And of course you can have leather versions like the one we have in this one. This nice brown leather really suits me well. I have the opportunity to drive a number of different cars, also high-end cars. In my opinion, there's no car that does interiors better than Porsche. The stitching is perfect. The choice of material is really the highest level you can find. And the way they designed the car around the driver, with the instrument panel being in the focus of the driver at all times, with all the information you need, is just the perfect driver's car for me. One of the biggest improvements for the 2025 model is the new air suspension system. That replaces the former air suspension, but it also replaces the steel suspension that Porsche used to offer for the Taycan. That is now gone and no longer available. The new system is really very good. It lifts the driving experience to a new level for the Taycan. It is extremely firm in the bends, but it is also extremely comfortable if you have any uneven parts on the road. It is a really well-handling car. What the optional Porsche Active Ride Control does is that it always keeps the car level. No matter how fast you go into a bend or how much you accelerate, the car will keep its composure in a very impressive way. In terms of technology, there's a lot of driving assist systems in the car, and they generally work really well. But there's one thing that really has annoyed me, and that is the speed sign recognition system. The car has surprised me a few times where it actually does not recognize the actual speed limit that you see. I can see it with my eyes, and the car should see it with a camera or know it from the navigation system. But a few times I have been driving and the car has increased the speed above the speed limit from 50 to 80, or in the tunnel from 100 to 120. And if you're not careful and the car does that while you're driving, you could end up with a hefty fine from the Swiss police. So I've not yet been driving a car where the speed sign recognition has been perfect. But the Porsche Taycan is one of the worst examples, unfortunately. So I would suggest, until Porsche fixes that you disconnect that function so you not end up getting a speed fine as you otherwise would. If you want to turn it off, and I recommend you do, that's under car and then under assistance. Then you untick these two boxes. You can also untick the lane keeping, so it's no longer doing that automatically. Then you will have to, of course, control the car yourself, but you're not surprised by sudden changes of the speed above the allowed speed. Let me just talk a little bit about the in-car entertainment system, because Porsche has really improved it. Compared to the old model, I would say it's about 2 times or maybe 3 times faster than what I'm used to. You have the typical functions. Apple CarPlay works really well, seamlessly, connects without any problems all the time. In front of the driver you have the screen that gives you the essential information, and you can adapt that screen to look the way you want to have it. So you press this button and then you will see here now this is active, and then you can change it from, here it's tire pressure, you have G effect, you have a speedometer, you move on and then you can change this from the half screen to the big screen, or you can take it away and now you have the assist system showed, or you can have the standard Porsche layout as well. And finally here you can also change from lab mode to trip computer, navigation, whichever you want. That's really working quite well. So one small improvement Porsche has also made is the cruise control function. There's a lever to the left of the steering wheel. Now to activate it and set the speed, you push it towards the driver. It used to be the other way around, you push it forward to activate it and set the speed. The new system is much better, so thank you for that, Porsche. And in general, I really like to have a lever for the cruise control. I don't like to have it on the steering wheel because it's fiddly and you have to look at it when driving. It's more intuitive when you have it as they have now made it. This is the way Audi does it and now Porsche does it too, so thank you for that. So this completes the standard route test for the Taycan 4S. We've been driving 58 kilometers, 1 hour and 3 minutes, and the consumption was 19.4 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And that compares to the 4S, the old model that I own, that was 21.4 kilowatt hours. So it's a full 2 kilowatt hours less consumed for the similar car in the new version. At first glance, there's not a big difference between the new Taycan and the prior model. So we put the two cars here next to each other so it's easy for you to see what exactly has been changed. First of all, we have the design, particularly at the front. You'll see some new designs. The headlamps have been changed. They're now much brighter. These are LED matrix headlamps and they give you so much more light in the night compared to what the old one has. The design around the headlamp has been changed. So here it's integrated with a curve, whereas on the new model, you have a separate headlamp from the front bumper. There's also a change to the metal, how it's been bent. Now we have a hard line on the front quarter, whereas on the old one, this was soft and curved all the way from the middle to the front of the vehicle. Another change is that the charging flap here is manual, and all new Taycans, they have an electric opening of the charging port. Then we have the wheels. These are new aerodynamic optimized wheels that give you a few more kilometers per charge. Now, putting the cars next to each other, there are really four things that are important that you should know that are different. So first of all, you have the larger battery, you have hence the bigger range, you have the new suspension, which is significantly better, and you have faster charging of 320 kilowatt compared to 270 kilowatt. Those are the key differences between the two. So some of you will probably be considering, should I buy an old one or prior model, or should I really go for the new model? Well, it is really a question of how much money you want to spend. Now this one is 192,000 new. This one was 170,000 Swiss francs when it was new. When you add the upgrades, the better motors, the bigger battery and the suspension, that's the reason why the new car is a little bit more expensive. Actually, comparing the two, they have the same price. So the main difference is that this car has done 21,000 kilometers and it's 4 years old compared to the new one. The price of this one in today's market is about 65,000 Swiss francs compared to 192,000 Swiss francs. So if you want a new one, you can afford it, congratulations, that's fantastic. But most people will probably also consider buying a used Taycan that gives you almost all of the benefits that you get in a new one. So what is the pitch? Why would you even consider buying a new Taycan? Well, I think most of the buyers of the new one will be company car buyers who have a support from the company or get a company car. Whereas most of the buyers for this one, a used Taycan, will be private buyers who are looking to get into the electric world of Porsche. Those are the two buyer profiles. So if you want a new Taycan, how should you finance it? Should you buy it outright or should you get a leasing? I would recommend you lease the new Taycan because you don't know how residual values will develop, and there at least you have a calculated risk. So that would be my recommendation. If you want a used Taycan, I think you can either buy it or finance it. It doesn't really matter. The residual value development is much more predictable on an old one than on the new one. So if you, like me, are in a situation where you already have a Taycan 4S, should you consider changing that one to the new one? I think you could. There's some benefit in the new car, some more equipment, and it's a little bit more modern. In my particular situation, I would probably stick with the old one for a little while. because the bleeding in terms of residual value loss has been stopped by that. If you buy a new one, you start from scratch and you'll have a big hit in residual value. But it is a great car, but so is the old one. So what is my final verdict on the 2025 Porsche Taycan 4S Sport Turismo? This is a great car. It is probably the best four-door electric GT car you can find. It delivers all the Porsche attributes and the car is really fantastic to drive. But it does come at a very high price. If you can afford the price tag for the Porsche Taycan, well, fantastic. I recommend you buy the car. But you could also consider waiting 1 or 2 years and pick up a used Porsche Taycan of the new facelifted version, and you'll probably have a bargain. So that is up to you to decide which is the better solution for you. Thank you for watching Mobility Insider. Please do comment, share and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next video.